Hey, this is Raphael, and this is a tour of Cron calendar. This is not a condensed kind of overview of like the top 3 workflows in Cron, but rather a full product tour where if you sat me down and you wanted to know everything about Cron, design decisions, implementation details, what went into it, building it, all the considerations, this is probably what I would show you. So. Going to Cron.com, let's get started. I can, just access calendar.cron.com in the browser, and I'm already logged in. So this is what I'm seeing after connecting my Google Calendar account with Cron. Now I wanted to show you a little bit around the grid here. Close this. Kind of like 3 areas. We have here on the left side, we have the left-hand Cron menu. We have mini month navigator, and I'll show you how to interact with that. Calendar list here at the bottom with multiple accounts. In the middle, we have the grid, including time zones, all-day events, etc. On the right, we have an always present right-hand context panel that contextually shows you information as you select items both on the grid as well as here in the Cron menu. All right, so first of all, here are the day columns, and I can add as many as I want really here. Can also quickly just go to 3 to get kind of like a condensed view of my next 3 days, for example. And there's also a bunch of keyboard shortcuts where I can quickly navigate these days. So for example, I can just press the key 1 to show 1 day, 2 for 2, 3 for 3, etc. If I hit W, I get this week view here, starting on Monday in my case. Now, a lot of these things can also be configured from this menu here. And we teach the keyboard shortcuts on the right-hand side here. Let's bring this up here and type, for example, 8. Of course, it's also accessible just with the 8 key. This gives me this nice kind of like week-to-week view when I'm still kind of like in this week, but I already want to plan my Monday ahead. We, of course, also have things like show and hide weekends, show and hide decline events, show and hide week numbers, and then we can dive into more settings. So let's use a Shift Command E to hide the weekends, for example. Now we see, all 8 days, but without the weekends. So let's go to 5 days, and then of course from Friday it jumps straight to Monday. Let me get the weekends back, but go to 5 days nevertheless. Now, the density of the grid can oftentimes in calendars not be configured. However, what we can do here is, and let me just quickly bring up with the question mark key, a lot of these keyboard shortcuts that we have here for settings, etc. So let's look in general, or just actually look for Zoom, and then we see here calendar view. So Shift Command 0 is kind of like the default grid density, and then with plus and with period and comma, we can kind of like change the density. So let's try that out. There we go. So this is kind of like zooming in, giving me a more roomier view onto my week, and then we can go back with Shift Command comma. Let's reset this to 0. Now, you might have noticed that I can just freely scroll here horizontally. And if I quickly go to the week view, it always like nicely snaps on the week boundaries. So here, if I give it like a good scroll, it snaps to Monday always, because that's when I have configured to start the week, but it could be any any day of the week that is configurable. And if I want to just scroll a little bit, I can do that. It nicely aligns here, but if I give it a good scroll, it doesn't just go into somewhere and land somewhere, but it nicely kind of like gets me from week to week. I can also, with the arrow keys, just very quickly jump through the weeks. I can also do this with J and K. Now notice here on the in this mini month navigator, let's go back to today. Notice that little highlight if I like select any day where I jump to. Boom, this is what happens. But let's go back to today. Also, the T key works for that. Notice how, this always shows me which days are visible in the grid. Extremely useful. With the minimum month navigator, I can quickly jump to, any date, then go back home. Now, for even quicker sort of like, date-related changes, I wanted to introduce something we call the command menu. And really, there's a lot of keyboard shortcuts kind of to learn over time, but everything is also accessible, just by, clicking, left-clicking, right-clicking on things. Like for example here, context menu. Sometimes it's really good to just, quickly bring up a command menu, a command palette, and just type what I want. So for example, I want to like jump to a date or go to a date. So let me bring this up. By the way, we kind of like teach here. I can also just access this with the period key. But if I don't remember the period key to go straight into this menu, I can always just bring up command K as the one thing to remember, and then everything lives in here, all these commands. So let's go to a date, and for example, kind of far out, I want to go to November 5th. And notice how it instantly jumps there. Now, I don't have anything scheduled here right now, but it loads immediately. So let's go to November 5th, 2025. Right? Boom, I'm here. Instantly, everything is here. So it's really like this kind of, desktop quality level of interaction with the grid and the data on the grid, but in a browser. Now let's move on from the grid to events. So creating an event is extremely simple. We see that the context panel changes from this, 0 state to basically an event panel. And if I type in title here, the event is already done. There was no save button. There was no window popping up occluding my view. I can still interact with everything here and inspect all the details of these events. I can also select things on the left here and inspect it. But let's stick with the events for now. So one thing that I generally from high quality software expect is being able to, and notice this nice like little target, like where we kind of show you where this will land, right? And then overlapping algorithm kicks in and nicely kind of creates, let's go to here, nicely kind of, shows as much information as possible. So one of the things that I would expect is kind of like, I would say best in class kind of manipulation with items. So I can right click on this. I can copy also, command Z, D, X for cut, copy, and duplicate works. So let's hit command D to duplicate. Boom, it's done. I can also use option to drag this event and duplicate it that way. And boom, this is saved directly to, synced to Google Calendar. I can also hold down the Shift key to select multiple. If I hold down Command, I can do selective adding and removing to this selection. And then of course I can then do things to entire groups of events. This is extremely powerful to really be in control of your time. So let's get rid of this. Let's create a repeat event. Repeats every, let's say, let's actually do every weekday here. Notice how it already previews here. Like this is the start of the series, and then it already previews here where these events are going to be created. Extremely powerful. And let me create a test 2 here. And I wanted to show kind of a little bit more of these kind of like multi-event operations. So if I, for example, want to change the color, maybe this is like a focus block where I can color code my calendar. I can do that. Boom. If I wanted to, if those were a bunch of meetings, let's say I have a week full of meetings that were scheduled with me, I can just select them all and I can just RSVP no. right here. This now doesn't show up because there are some events in the selection that doesn't have a participant. But let's actually quickly see here. So here I can just RSVP no to both at once. Cool. All right. Then, moving an event or even multiple events from one week to another, in a lot of tools, this takes like 7 clicks, right? Here, if I wanted to just pick these up, go to the next week, drop them, it's done. So really kind of like giving you full control, manipulating your events, etc. Now, repeat events are interesting. Let me, of course, we support, all other things like all day. There's a lot of nuance that goes into it. Like, okay, so there's a lot of nuance that goes into like getting everything perfect. I'm not going to go into much detail here, but let's move on to more of repeat events. So repeat events are interesting. Like oftentimes maybe you have a repeating block for a workout or a focus block, etc. And sometimes you need to adjust your schedule. So for example, maybe on Thursday I can't make this 1 p.m. block. Then if I pick this up, want to move it, typically calendar kind of prompts me, hey, do you want to do this change to just this event, this and following events, or all in the series? I can continue editing, maybe not just change the time, but also the duration, and then save for this. This works, but we included a smart shortcut here. So if I pick this event up and make a change to it, notice how in the bottom we have this little educational tip that tells you, hey, you can actually hold the command key to move the single event instantly. And so we bypass this dialogue and have made this change instantly. This is super powerful to just like quickly kind of change things in your schedule. Now, what if there was a participant on this event? So for example, let me get rid of this test series here. So for example, I may have a conflict here. I may have to move this. If I select this event and move it here and just hold down the command key, we will default to send an email update to this participant. But what if I wanted to, let me quickly show this without holding the option. So here I have the option, of course, again, kind of to do this to all events, just this event, or and send the update, or send the update, like push this update, this change to this person's calendar without triggering an email notification, kind of spamming their inbox. If I make multiple changes to kind of schedule far in the future, etc., this may not be needed or desired. So we built in this way to not only change this here instantly, but with Shift, we could actually bypass sending the email. So here we say event updated. Updated for this person without sending an email notification. This would have been different if I, just hold down command key, then, we send this update now to this person and triggered an email notification just now. All right, so this is a lot around kind of how to manipulate events. Just wanted to call out, for example, Command X, jump to a future date. Command V, we paste it at the beginning of this week, so it's in your viewport. So really consider it kind of how you may want to manipulate your events. So let's go back to today. Now, moving on, we have kind of seen some interactions with teammates, but there's something really powerful in Cron where I can overlay people's schedules. So for example, here, I can show a participant overlay. I also should call out that, of course, you can add offices, resources in your Google Workspace, etc., office rooms, all that works. So I can overlay this person's calendar and then see, what do they have on their schedule. In this case, I see we're both on this event, so it shows their color and my color, etc. And I can also just arbitrarily from anyone in the organization, I can show their calendar really quickly. And again, we kind of teach you hey, you can use the P key here, or of course Command K. If I do overlay, then we have a show teammate calendar here. Now let me grab this person here. I see their calendar now and kind of like what commitments they have, and they show up here. Now I can pin anyone more permanently to my calendar list here. So just like any calendars, I can have people pinned here for easy, quick access to their schedule. One of the things that's really cool is I can very quickly schedule from here. I can just drag this person onto the grid, find a spot where we're both free, drop it. It already fills out the title, automatically attaches a Zoom link, and we're basically good to push this to their calendar. Of course, if this was a real meeting, I would have sent an email notification. So deleting this here with Shift Command delete to not send an email notification to this person. So this is kind of like, let's move here to the left hand side. I have multiple accounts connected to Cron, and this makes it extremely powerful to have everything in one view, but also to move events between calendars flawlessly, and always ensure that we send the email updates from the correct correct email address. Oftentimes when you kind of like do a calendar sharing hack, so you're only viewing one calendar and this is shared as a shared calendar here, but then you want to schedule something on this, then the email updates are sending from your work address, and it's a whole mess. We solved all that with like proper multi-account solution. You can add even more accounts here. All right, so one of the most exciting things that this enables, though, is to have really powerful workflows across multiple, not just calendars, but calendar accounts. So let's go to next week here, where I have a doctor's appointment conflicting with doctor's appointment of my daughter, conflicting with some work meetings that I have. Now, I can just right-click on this event, say block on calendar, choose another calendar from another account or same account, and mark this as, so in this case I can include details, but it's a doctor's appointment on my personal calendar, so I just want to appear as busy. Now let's go over to Google Calendar here, and notice how so over in Cron, this little ribbon got added here, indicating that this is now on both my personal calendar and my my work calendar. But notice that we don't show we merge the chips. We don't show two chips side by side. And over here, we see that this is indeed now kind of marked as busy. So these people here know that I'm not available there. And this is always kept in sync. So if I move this personal event on my personal calendar, let's go here. This is now moved to 12:30. Boom. This here syncs with it. So they always stay in sync. Right-clicking on this chip here, I see with this little lock here that it only shows busy, but not the actual details of the event. I can unblock this event, and if I had another one here, I can, for example, block this and include the details, and if there were a bunch of details, etc., this would all now be synced to my work calendar with the details. So notice here the title, anything that would be filled out would be there as well. Cool. So really getting everything, personal, work, and things kind of like between into a single view is a huge advantage of Cron and a huge productivity boost. Now moving kind of from grid, events, teammates, multiple calendars, to interacting with people externally outside of my organization. We have a scheduler built right into the grid here. So if I wanted to find some time with my my friend Emil, for example, I can just click Share Availability, and notice how my grid kind of turns into this pattern, and there's a little prompt at the bottom that says mark available times on your calendar. So I'm free And by the way, let me take a second and talk about time zones, because time zones are really, first-class citizens of Cron and the grid. So notice how I have multiple time zones configured here. I have New York time zone. I can give it like a nice little label. For example, here the Pacific time zone that defaults to Los Angeles, I put SF. And then here the GMT +1, I put Zurich as a label. I could also, make this, for example, this here. I can make this my primary time zone. Now my entire calendar switched to this time zone, and this is also very easily with like this gesture here of drag and drop, very easily configurable. So now New York is on the rightmost next to the grid. So this is my primary time zone now again. Now I can add more time zones here. I can also, of course, remove them. Just right click on it. And but I can also, like, if I don't want to permanently add more time zones here, I'm good with those three. I can temporarily like travel to a time zone. Okay, it's also with the Z key. So just like Z hotkey, boom, and now I can. So my friend is in Stockholm. So I don't know exactly what time zone Stockholm is in, but I know is Emil in Stockholm. So we are actually a smaller town. Like let's say. Well, let's start with Stockholm, okay? So Stockholm has its own kind of like time zone identifier. But what about like Malmö? Malmö is where my friend actually is, and notice how we like instantly match this to Stockholm. So you can really just think about like countries. You can think about like, I don't know, like airport codes. We even have a few Easter eggs. So for example, if I do, Gotham, boom, we're here in New York. So let's go back to my friend in Malmö. I quickly want to see what time it is for him here. And I want to share some availabilities. So let me press the S key. And, 6 is getting a little late. I was thinking I would share some availabilities here. Well, it's kind of like a call, it's a personal call. Yeah, let's remove the conferencing here. And so 6 may be fine. So let me share some availabilities here. Now notice how I can kind of like scratch these windows open, windows of time. So I see this is, for me, this is going to be noon to 3, here 6 to 9. And quickly do this here, and I can add a few more. For example, tomorrow maybe a little earlier here, and then I could do, here looks pretty good. Now notice how it's spelled out all these times here, and I can say like, okay, I need 45 minutes anytime within these blocks, and because I have switched time zone here to his time zone, all the time zone math is already done for me. So it's in his time. So if I kind of like, want to avoid a lot of the email ping pong, I just send him the snippet and he can very quickly confirm, based on his time and location, when it would be good for us to meet. And let's make a nicer title here. So it's going to be Emil Rafael. And let's, create this. Now, the snippet got put into my clipboard, yet, I can fire this off. But these holds here, they continue to be on my grid next to my events. So, they interact properly with the events there. I can even change it, like give it a little bit more time here, and this updates. And one of the really cool things, and if Emil gets back to me, I can just right click and create an event from the hold. But one of the really cool things is that I can also include a scheduling link. So let me do that. So now the snippet includes this chronicon/Raphael link. So let's say, I have email kind of set up here, and I just paste a snippet in. The email basically like writes itself, right? This is really, really powerful. Now for the recipient, so just quickly like switching back here, going to today. For the recipient, if they click on this link here, let me bring this up. they see a kind of like standard scheduling interface. And now Emil can say like, okay, Thursday, and this is now in my time because this will be in his computer's time, but we also do it relative to you, so it's easy for you to pick the time. You know, let's say for example, 45 minutes for 45 minutes. Zoom will be provided with Rafael for at 11:45. I can do this. Just type in the email address. Now schedule this meeting. Now what happens over here is boom, all the holds got freed up on my calendar. This got put on my calendar. It might send to the recipient of my snippet and Zoom already attached. Super powerful that way. Now, how did Zoom get attached? And by the way, I want to talk a little bit about notifications, which is so critical for a calendar. Now, Zoom got attached because first of all, I have multiple conferencing providers integrated. So let's open up settings. And a lot of the view settings that we went through are configurable here. So I can start the week on a different day. I can, for example, peg the today always to be the leftmost column versus kind of like bring the whole week into focus. And then we get more into notifications. You know, time zone, where to open location links, etc. But let's go to conferencing because that's what just happened here. We auto attach the conferencing link, so I can OAuth into my Zoom. And this is what happened here, right? Like it actually created a proper Zoom meeting with a unique ID, unique password, attaches to the event, shared it with Emil. And you know, if I, for example, create a little test event here and attach Zoom, like boom, we go and create the Zoom meeting unique for this event. Now going to G then S is kind of going to settings. You find a lot of these keyboard shortcuts, kind of like how to navigate. App navigation, for example, navigation here. That doesn't show up here. Let's see. Calendar navigation, app navigation, right? So this is how I knew kind of G and S to go to settings, go to help center, go to feedback. So I open settings, and in conferencing, I have under integrations conferencing, I have all sorts of conferencing solutions integrated here, and that's why they show up in this menu here. There we go. Now, to automatically attach a conferencing link to a calendar, I can configure that here. So for example, well, in settings, I can say which is the default conferencing, and I selected Zoom here, but I can override that on a calendar by calendar basis. So for example, for personal, maybe I don't ever want to create auto attach a conferencing details. And by the way, we only ever add conferencing once you actually add a participant. So if I add this participant, boom, this is when we go and create conferencing. So really handy. But on this calendar, for example, I maybe always want to automatically attach a Google Meet, or maybe like a personal Zoom. Let's pick blue jeans. Okay, so now if I create an event here on my personal calendar, then when I add a participant, blue jeans is automatically added. When getting around the grid, I actually kind of wanted to show one more thing, how we can finally kind of like, be in control of your schedule. And I wanted to show how we support a few kind of like, keyboard shortcuts to like more, coarsely kind of manage your time. So if I hold down Option, then the sort of like the grid snaps to sort of like hour by hour resolution, right? Quickly do like 2 hours. If I wanted to move this and I go Option, here, Option Control, Then we go in 5-minute increments. This may be a little bit easier to see if I resize. So resizing is 15 minutes. Unless I hold down Option, then it's by the hour. If I hold down Option and Control, it goes by 5 minutes increments. Kind of like a really precise, fine tool. So holding down these, I can pick in 5-minute increments. For example, here I can create an event that starts like 10 after. So yeah, it's just here, right? Can make like a 25-minute event. And of course, everything is editable here via the context panel as well. So everything live update, so I can type in noon here, or like, let's do, 12, and then let's say 90, minutes, boom. So I can really use my keyboard to update these events as well, as we have seen with the travel to time zone, the jump to date, the overlay, teammate calendar, etc. All right. Now, moving on, I will share availability to notifications, as I mentioned. Here we have standard reminders that are added. This can be configured in per calendar. Here, links out to Google Calendar, where I can make these settings. And these standard reminders could be, could be multiple, can be one, and this is synced between Cron and Google Calendar. So if I have this event here, I can add another one 5 minutes before, I can add one one day before, and then these notifications will fire here in the browser. I also have some settings around notifications, but this is where it gets really powerful with the desktop app. So let's switch over to that experience. On desktop, Cron lives in your dock, and I'm showing on a Mac here, but we also have Windows app and then also mobile app. I won't in this tour get into the mobile app, but it fully syncs with Cron, multiple time zones, has like beautiful lock screen widgets, home screen widgets, etc. And it's really like a powerful full companion to the Cron desktop experience, not just like a little sort of like agenda side app. Okay, so opening up Cron on the desktop, you're familiar with the experience here. It's just more integrated into the system. Check for updates. You have view controls here. What I showed, kind of zooming hours in and out. You have what I want to show here. Well, other keyboard shortcuts, for example, like settings. This is like kind of standard Mac command comma here. So if I do that, it opens. On the web, command comma would open. The browser's settings on the Mac. That's why there's also go to settings, G and S. By the way, these keyboard sequences there's multiple sequences to kind of like edit events. So for example, if I wanted to RSVP quickly using the keyboard to an event, then I could select a meeting and then quickly respond yes with event, so E then Y, or respond no E then N, or maybe E then M. So let's hit N here to select the next event. I can just cycle through my events that way. Shift N to go back. And let's quickly do E then M. And boom, I updated my RSVP to maybe. E then M, N for no, or even yes. So for people that really want to like go deep and master, their schedule with keyboard shortcuts, really, encouraged to explore. But everything is always accessible, with a nice UI as well. All right. So now that we're in the desktop app, we see I have a meeting coming up in 12 minutes. Showing me this little card here, but even if I'm not in Cron, so for example, if I'm email or like doing some work here, then let's switch to like another tool. Let's see, Notion here. Then we always have this menu bar calendar here, reminding me that in 11 minutes I have something coming up. I can open this here, and without having Cron in the foreground, I cannot see my schedule at a glance. I can configure this quite extensively, the menu bar here. What events I want to include, how long ahead I want to include events, etc. I can also configure system-wide keyboard shortcuts to bring this up. So for example, Control Command K. So if I do this, this shows up, even if Cron isn't in the foreground. So I could be doing, some work here. Oh, it's my, day look like, boom, this is what happens, right? If a meeting is coming up, then I can use Control Command J, and I can configure all of these to join that meeting instantly. So for example, in 10 minutes and 11 minutes, I may choose to join the meeting from here, and we go and extract all sorts of conferencing solutions right here. While we're actually in Figma, let me show you integration of kind of like event attachments as it ties into the menu bar. So if, for example, this Figma link was relevant to this meeting, I could paste this in here, and we support all sorts of link types as attachments: Figma, Google Doc, Notion, etc. So let me just push this silently to this calendar, and now if I'm over here and open up the menu bar, I see all resources that I need at the start of the meeting right here. And this is, for me as the organizer, yes, I may know I want to talk about this, but for the recipient, that when the meeting rolls around, they instantly can open up all docs, open up conferencing, and really have everything in place once the meeting starts without having to where's the link, etc. Okay, so one of the powerful things that we see here in the menu bar is of course kind of like which events to include. I can configure this here as well, also on a per calendar basis. I can say exclude everything from my personal calendar, and then this doesn't show up here, for example. So going back to the notifications, because we're on a desktop app now, I don't just have the kind of event reminder notifications that will trigger 5 minutes, 30 minutes, and 1 day before this event here, but I also have these like instant notifications just before the meeting, and we call them upcoming meeting notifications. So I've configured them to show 1 minute before the meeting, to show me the Zoom link, all the docs, etc., and with a little sound. And even if you are in Do Not Disturb, which I am right now, they will actually poke through and remind you that you are about to have to enter to a meeting. So let me quickly fake this here. Command K is like a secret command, test upcoming meeting notification. I must have misspelled. Let's see. Here we go. That was the typo. Now notice how this popped up here, and I could have been, maybe working here, and then this shows up, right? And I can instantly join from here, join Zoom. I can, email the participant. I can snooze them. I can show the event in Cron. In this case, I can open the, relevant documents. In this case, I wanna just join the Zoom. Instantly opens the desktop app. So no kind of going to the browser, etc. So straight from here, opening the desktop app, really smooth. Okay, so that is everything around desktop app. It's faster, more integrated, better notifications, lifts in the dock. And so this brings me to the rest of the settings. So we've already gone through most of these here that are relevant. Can connect multiple calendars here. We've seen that. Conferencing. Now I can also integrate with a Notion workspace. I'll get to that. But also have a profile here. This is where the cron.com / username came from. You can claim your username. I can choose which is my primary account. You can also update my profile picture, housekeeping, etc. Now let's move over to the Notion integration here. So we have, I have currently 2 Notion workspaces connected to my Cron account. And I already showed you event attachments. So one of the really powerful things, so for example, let's grab this meeting here, team meeting. I can actually search, attach, and even create Notion pages right from my right from within Cron for the event here. So this is a document that I prepared in Notion, and so let's just quickly attach that. Send this to the participants. Let's not just this event, and let's not send an email notification for this test here. Now this is an attached document, and in case they didn't have permission to access this doc yet, which they do, then we would actually intelligently ask you like, hey, do you want to share permission to this doc? To this set of participants here. This is extremely powerful to quickly share, attach a doc to external participants, or share a private doc that's maybe not part of your public team space, etc. So that is the Notion doc integration, and really useful to kind of quickly spin up meeting notes, add meeting notes into the database, etc. And again, we support all sorts of event attachments. All right, that kind of brings things to a close. Finally, there's this help menu here in the bottom. Shows kind of like the latest, updates. You can invite people to use Cron, follow along on social, and also, send feedback. And so, the team and I are sort of on the other side of this here, and we really built the first version of Cron over the time with a lot of user feedback. And it has been invaluable to kind of like debug user issues, unique things with time zones, weird events, etc. If you actually select an event here and then send feedback or just GDNF, let's quickly do that. We attach a little JSON of that event. You're in full control. This doesn't leave your computer if you don't want to, but if you have an issue with this event, then you can attach this here. That gives information to debug, and then send the feedback, and that is that. So this concludes the tour of Cron Calendar, and hopefully kind of shows like a lot of the considerations that went into building this, and hope you like it.